on the phone. It's a man who's been covering football for 35 years, or did for 35 years with the Houston Chronicle, and now can be heard on the radio locally there and also right here on the Rich Eisen Show. A great follow on Twitter. John McClain joining me here on the program. John, do you think that there really was a bias against the Texas teams here?
No, I don't think that for a minute, Rich. I think Ohio State, what the Buckeyes did with a third quarterback and even a backup quarterback was unprecedented. As a Baylor fan and a Baylor alum and a diehard Baylor fan, I'm just glad Baylor was not ranked behind TCU. I've never understood that from the get-go because of head-to-head, but I couldn't argue with any of the top four picks, and I don't think anybody else on that committee would have made any difference.
John McClain joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. So what do you make of the fact there was no championship game, that Baylor and TCU would have laced it up again and gone at it for the whole country to see, and that might have been able to leapfrog one of those winners, despite, again, that Baylor had already beaten TCU, I understand, but doing it one more time for the entire country to see it right on the cusp of the announcement. What do you make of that argument that the Big 12 cost itself?
First of all, Rich, people haven't figured this out. Baylor and TCU would not have been playing for the championship. They would have been in the same division.
There you go.
They would have been the North and the South, and so they would not have had a chance to play for the championship. And that's the Big 12's fault. The Big 12 doesn't have enough teams. If they don't like, they should take on two more. I think the big cop-out was the Big 12 and their commissioner all year, all the ads, one true champion. We heard that. They had a copyright. He talked about it, and when they had a chance to have 1-2 champion on the head-to-head, it was a cop-out. He showed no footballs, and so that's the problem I have. And if you're gonna, and so the committee, I have no problem with the four they took, but it saved them from having to make that decision on head-to-head if, like, say, Ohio State had not won. And but to me, it's the Big 12's fault. It's not the committee's fault.
Do you think that this will cause them to reorder their world and potentially expand, John?
Rich, one of the problems with that, you got to split that TV money two more ways. And just like NFL owners and everybody, they don't want to split that pie any more than they have to. So they got a lot of schools they could take in. University of Houston's dying to come to the Big 12. Just fired their coach today. SMU, BYU, there's talk. Boise State, at one point there was talk about Louisville. So there's a lot of schools that would like to do it. But I think if this became a pattern, not a one-year thing, maybe, but they will be discussing it. Ballsby's already pointed that out.
John McClain of the longtime 35 years writing for the Houston Chronicle, joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. What's going on with RG3? You know this young man for so many years. You covered him. You know his stock. You know his family. So much talk about how he can't operate in not only Shanahan's system, but Gruden's system, that both coaches wanted to wash their hands of him because the way that he operates off the field, wanting to, tweet about stuff as opposed to get better on the field. What do you make of all this? What can you tell fans about RG3 and his professional career?
First of all, Rich, everything you just said is not the quarterback who was at Baylor. I watched every game he played at Baylor on TV or recorded it if I couldn't. I know Art Briles, coaches, and some of the players there, and there was never a discouraging word about him as a rookie. There wasn't either, other than jealousy that he got a lot of endorsements and, no complaints about it until he blew out his knee and tried to come back last year. I do know this, and I talked about this and wrote about it in preseason when Kirk Cousins was playing better, and Joe Theismann said if there were competition, Cousins would be the starting quarterback. He has always been a quarterback who needed to be on the move, like Russell Wilson, Colin Kaepernick. He's always had to. He can throw from the pocket, but he's got to have the option to roll out and have some plays for him. Kyle Shanahan that first year incorporated a little bit of Baylor's offense, the read option, and then when he had the injuries, Then I think he came back too soon, was not able to run as well, but he needs to be gone. They need to send him somewhere else, let him start over with somewhere else, get whatever they could get and begin a new era, because there's so much controversy surrounding him anonymously. That's why I wish somebody would do like London Fletcher did with Jim Haslett. When you're going to skewer somebody, have the guts to put your name on it.
He sure did skewer him, and then his kid went back at him on Twitter. They went back and forth. That was an ugly tweet smackdown that was going down yesterday. Before I let you go, John, the Houston Texans, lo and behold, they're now at the top of the 7-6 mosh pit. That's not in a playoff spot in the AFC. And of all the times for them to be able to maybe come up with their first win in Indianapolis, this would be it. What do you make of this big week 15 game that's coming up?
They are 0-12 in Indianapolis. They've been outscored 30.4 to 15.5. They've only lost 3 games there, Rich, by fewer than 11 points. And one of those, Dan Orlovsky, was the quarterback when Peyton missed that season with a neck injury. So if they were ever going to do it, this would be the year. I don't expect in my lifetime it will happen. I hope it'll make it another 20 years or so. But I'll be shocked. Andrew Luck's coming off one of the worst games of his career, and he still pulled it out in Cleveland. The odds are he's not going to have 2 in a row of those. Thanks for calling in, John. We look forward to the next chat already.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.